Oh boy, is it Monday. The U.S. Empire is torturing Julian Assange to the point where he can't recall his name or date of birth, I guess is what they said. Bernie had the biggest rally of the primary so far. 26,000 people showed up in New York to see him, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez endorse him, and mainstream media, nothing, silence, nothing from the mainstream media. They're out to lunch on this. Couldn't wait to report Elizabeth Warren and her 20,000 people showing up to her rally, all the selfies, and 26,000 people. Bernie is always one-upping this woman, and they just they hate him so much. They do not want him to be president. And a new UN climate report, we're more fucked than we thought, and we can get a lot more fucked than we already are. So we pretty much have to elect Bernie, or we're all gonna die a lot more horribly than we are already gonna suffer. But hey, Hillary finally got her head out of her hole again. Just peeked out to say Russian asset. Just Russian asset. Russian asset. She pointed at Jill Stein and Tulsi Gabbard and then called them Russian assets. Tulsi Gabbard, of course, seized the opportunity to call her out on Twitter. Hillary Clinton is an awful person, and she's bad, and she should feel bad, but she doesn't. Not as bad as she should, certainly. And Tulsi Gabbard is a major in the U.S. Army, currently serving. In fact, was just had to take a few weeks off her campaign to go in active duty. She is serving her country far more than Hillary is with what she's doing in these days. Hillary has just taken every opportunity since she lost to the game show host that was the most easily beatable candidate in modern American political history. They were both super unpopular, but he was more unpopular, and she still lost. And she has taken every opportunity to just point the finger and call everyone Russian. Matt Taibbi wrote a great piece in the Rolling Stone. You should read it. It's not very long. It's very succinct, very powerful. The powerful Matt Taibbi wrote, "Everyone is a Russian asset," and he's fucking right. This years-long campaign to try to fight to retain credibility in the Democratic Party is a fool's errand that everyone sees through this bullshit. Bad news for those of you living and breathing on this planet. We're in full panic mode. At least the scientists are, it seems. New UN report out basically saying, hey, that 2 degrees, there's no reason to believe that we can avoid hitting that at this point. 4 degrees is actually where we're headed right now if we do nothing and stay on our current path. And 4 degrees, as you might imagine, is beyond twice as bad as 2 degrees. Even at 2 degrees where we are now, unavoidably, we're talking about genocide. Climate genocide is what they're calling it. They're not mincing words anymore, people. They have run out of fucks to give in regards to avoiding alarmism. They're saying, hey, this shit's bad, but it can still get a lot worse. We can't afford 4 more years of Donald Trump denying that this is happening. this is happening. Report linked in the description of the video because it's horrifying and you should read it. Wake you up, get you registered to vote, and get your friends and family registered to vote, and vote for Bernie. It's time to quit fucking around. We have no time to lose. Because we need a Green New Deal yesterday. We need to fight globally against these companies that have hidden data that shows that they knew. They knew for decades. They knew since the 80s, maybe before, that climate change is happening, and it's because of their business model. Burning all the CO2. So we have to reduce emissions to zero. Bernie Sanders is the only candidate building a movement to fight against these companies. Elizabeth Warren's not doing that. She doesn't have the multiracial working class coalition that Bernie does. And the media is not telling you that. The revolution will not be televised, folks. Bernie is out to win this thing, and we need to support him. Because we're going to get a lot of pushback from people with a lot of power and a lot of money, a lot of influence. The airwaves, the news media is not going to cover Bernie. They're not going to tell you, they're not going to be honest about how he's doing. They keep saying, oh, he's floundering, he's struggling. Oh, he's struggling to get money. He needs money. He's struggling. He's gonna drop out any minute. He's gonna drop out. Bernie's losing. He's gonna drop out. Why isn't he dropping out? He's a sexist. He hates women. Why isn't he dropping out? He must hate women. Oh, Bernie. $1 million? Donations don't matter. It's all about how much money you raised. 25 million? No, it's not what matters. What matters is endorsements. AOC, not that one. Who cares about that one? They're not going to be honest with you. And finally, we have to get Bernie Sanders elected so that we can free Julian Assange and get Edward Snowden back home. Because he's the only one that's going to do that. He's the only shot we've got at bringing those two to justice, giving them back their freedom. Julian Assange is being tortured by the U.S. government. They are so mad at him. They are so mad at him not for what you might think. They're not mad at him for 2016. They're mad at him for exposing war crimes in Iraq. Chelsea Manning is in prison again after Barack Obama pardoned her. They're holding her in contempt of court because she won't testify against Julian Assange. And she has nothing to do with that 2016 shit. This has to do with those exposing of war crimes, when what they exposed was that our military killed civilians. We went and did a double tap. We circled back and killed the first responders. That's a war crime. That's what Julian Assange exposed, was that we were doing that in Iraq. And that was super embarrassing to the state officials. And they want to make an example out of him, and they're putting him through hell. He was in clear distress. He's claimed that they didn't allow him to have a computer or anything to prepare for his testimony, and that is, he is not being given a fair trial here. The purpose is not to allow him a fair trial. The purpose is to make an example out of him. But getting Bernie elected is the only hope we have of keeping Julian Assange from getting Epsteined. And Bernie's going to need help. He's going to need support as much as he can get. So we got to support candidates that are just like him, that are on his page, on his agenda. You got to look at Sema Hernandez. If you're in Texas, she's running for Senate against John Cornyn. You got to look at her. Sema for Texas. Sema for Texas. Sema for Texas. You got to go there. .org, .com, I forget. It's .com, I think. Sema for Texas. And go and look at her platform. Green New Deal. Medicare for all. We got to get that Green New Deal, especially in Texas. They've got so much control over the state. You got to have, if we put Sema in power in Texas, oh my God, what a signal that would send. You got to get out and vote. Register. Register to vote. Go and vote in the primary. Find out what date you got to go and vote in the primary. You got to do it. Bernie. Sema Hernandez, whoever is in your local area who's a progressive, go and vote for him. Find the most progressive candidate and vote for him. No one else deserves your vote. No one else deserves your vote. No centrist is going to save us. No Republican's going to save you. You got to vote for the people who are taking money and their words from the people. Their issues are the people's issues. You got to vote for them. It's not about who. It's not about what pedigree, what story. It's about what issues are going to change your life. That's all that matters. And you got to find those people and you got to support them. And if you're one of those people, sometimes you got to do it yourself.